everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree Witch's Cauldron wreath. I'm so excited to finally make one of these. We're going to use some of the green tubing mesh as well as some green rolled mesh. We're also going to use 3 rolls of black mesh as well as this is a 14-inch wreath form. I was deciding whether or not I wanted to make it on the really big one. I have 1 pair of stocking hangers, door hangers, as well as 1 orange feather boa. And then we're going to need some pipe cleaners. And I didn't use any glue, just pipe cleaners. Oh, and a scissor. So the first thing I want to do is I wanted to create some bulk in the middle. I wanted it to feel rounded like a cauldron. So all I did was I took one end of the black and I just went across the middle section, just across the middle, not the middle section, but across the middle 2 times. I wrapped it around just to add a little bulk to that center to help the mesh stand out as opposed to being pushed back in when we go in the other direction. And then I just used a pipe cleaner on both ends just to secure it. Now I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to take a piece of mesh that is going to be the length of the wreath folded in half with a little extra at the top, about 2 inches on each side. So if it's a 14-inch wreath form, then we're going to make 28, 30, 32 inches long for that middle piece. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to put a pipe cleaner at the fold, and I'm going to pipe clean it to the end of the wire wreath form. Okay, so let's do that again slowly. I'm going to take a piece of mesh. It's going to be the length of the wire wreath form doubled with a little extra to hang over. Fold it in half and add a pipe cleaner to the end. Pipe cleaner to the outside ring of the bottom of the wreath form, and then take it across and tuck it under the outside ring at the opposite end. Okay? And we're going to repeat this, but we're actually just going to do the section. So this next piece is a little shorter because it's not going from the center of the wreath form to the center of the wreath form. It's moved over a little bit. So you're just going to measure next to it, and you're going to measure the same thing. You're going to go from one end to the other, add a little extra at the top and the bottom, fold it in half, take a pipe cleaner, repeat with all of the pieces. So we're going to do this a few times, and it may not make sense to you, but the more you watch me do it, I think the more it will make sense to you. Now, I've decided not to permanently fix the cauldron top to the wire wreath form because I want it to lay nice. But you can, absolutely, if you feel more secure adding hot glue to the wire to the mesh, then you can. I'm at my friend's house and I don't want to mess up her table, so I wasn't going to use any hot glue for the chance that it might leak out onto my work surface. But I really feel confident that it doesn't need to be that way. So for the very edges, the 2 edge side pieces of the cauldron, what I'm doing is I'm just weaving them around the wire a little bit. So I'm like tucking them in and out of the wire so that it keeps that rounded shape but doesn't expose any of the frame. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're seeing this on the table and you're saying, Jerry, I could see right through that. But if you noticed in the thumbnail, and you'll notice in your real life on your wall, you cannot see through this cauldron once it's up against something. The only reason you're able to see it here is because of the lighting. It is not see-through, I promise. You can't even see the black piece going across the middle. Okay? Now, we're just going to repeat everything we did from, we started in the center and we worked our way right. We're going to repeat everything. We worked our way left, and now we're going to repeat everything for the right side. You're going to fold it in half, put a piece of pipe cleaner in that fold, twist it to one end. Every once in a while, I took like every other piece of tooling, of mesh, and I twisted them together a little bit, not very stiffly, because you don't want to create like stripes. You want it still to be full, but I just gave it a couple of twists so it wouldn't be puffy all over the place either. But you can see here as I'm doing it how it starts to come together and starts to look like a cauldron. Now, I found quite a few different inspirational pieces from Pinterest. Actually, the one that I've had on my pin board for about 3 years is the one that was like my real inspiration for doing this. But I noticed the last couple of years people have done variations. So this is just another variation of that. I've taken like the pot that I've loved from one person, the flames that I've loved from another person, the green goo that the witch is melting in from another person, and we created something new. Okay? So thank you to everybody on Pinterest who inspired me to do this. Now, when we got to the very, very top, I took a long piece of mesh that went from side to side, and I added a piece of pipe cleaner to each end, and I've twisted it to the wire frame right where it tucks under. Okay, let me show you that real quick. So basically what I'm doing is I'm creating like a seam at the top of the cauldron where it starts to come back over and create that very edge of the cauldron. I'm just putting one piece of mesh across it. Basically, we're just going to cover up the bar that we tucked all of the pieces under. So I'm hooking it to one side of the bar, putting it over the bar and hooking it to the other side. And I'm doing that all with pipe cleaner or chenille stem or whatever you craft twist. Now I'm trimming the cauldron down to be sort of even across the top. We want it to be sort of square. We don't want it to create always just a round shape. All right. And as you see here, I'm just pulling and making sure all of the pieces are laying flat and they're not coming out. And you can see here where it really just does create a really cute little cauldron. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to create the legs. There's so many different legs out there. They have ones that stick in the garden stake, which are wood. They have ones that are already foamed and styrofoam, all different ones. But this one was just, these were gifted to me. And I was like, how can I use them? What I did was I took this stick. Now, if you remember, we made a scarecrow wreath a while back. And I'm always like, save your parts. This is the stick from the scarecrow that sticks in the ground. And I saved his stick and I cracked it in half and I put one half of the stick in each leg. You could use skewers. You can use anything that you want that's stiff that's going to help them stand up. Okay. What I did was I cut the stockings off of the ring. I poked a skewer into each one, cut a little hole at the bottom where it comes out at the foot, glued the skewer to the back of the foot, and I made sure that each foot was in opposite directions. Now I took a piece of pipe cleaner. And again, you can glue the pipe cleaner to the things if you want to. That's 100% your option. I chose not to. And now we're going to create the, I guess, would it be the potion that she's boiling in or the concoction that she's cooking in? We're just going to take some green mesh that came from the Dollar Tree during the autumn section. I'm cutting it about 6 inches on, dog earing both sides. I've taken a piece of the tube mesh as well. And then I'm finding the middle of the green mesh and the middle of the tube mesh. And I'm going to add a pipe cleaner there, fold them in half. And then I'm going to basically stick it to the back of the wire. Obviously not the top wire because that's what the mesh is coming under. But the next wire, we're just going to hook it to that. So that it looks like the bubbling stuff boiling out. Now, one thing that I wish we would have had at the Dollar Tree that I thought was the cutest thing is somebody had actually added those little green baubles, those like little green, it was the exact same kind of color green, little ornaments, and it looked like bubbles, and it was such a cute touch, but we don't have them at the Dollar Tree, so we're going to work with what we have, right? Now we're just going to tie the legs on with a couple of pipe cleaners. I've just taken some of the pipe cleaners and in purple, and I've twisted them around the where the legs go down, and then I've twisted them onto the wire wreath form and then back on over the legs. Now the thing that I like about them is that they will fold down for storage. So if you store this at the end of the year, you can fold the legs down because you're really only catching the stocking. And what's going to hold the legs up is whatever you put the wreath against. So once you stand the wreath up against your wall, the sticks will stand straight up and you'll be able to keep your feet up, okay? Now, when all was said and done, we decided we needed just a couple of more pieces of potion. So we went ahead and added just 2 more pieces of the potion with the extra long little tube mesh as well. All right? And she lost a leg in that process, but we fixed it. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add the flames. This is probably my favoriteest part of the whole thing because it does add that whimsy. It does actually make it look more like, a black bull wreath than, you know what I'm saying. But what I'm doing again is I'm not gluing, but you could go ahead, glue, use pipe cleaners, whatever you want. What I've decided was I'm able to tuck the end of the feather boa under the one side, and I've weaved it in and out of the wire wreath form between the pieces of Cauldron. Then what I did was I got to the end, I put the whole thing back over, and I tucked the other end in where the first end was, if that makes any sense at all. I kind of feel like this is the kind of project that it looks like fakakta until it's done. I know that sounds weird, but it does really look so much better when it's all finished. But you can see there, I just I wove the in the feather boa in and out of the base, and then I just tucked the other end in over, and then I went and added a pipe cleaner to the back. I did put the pipe cleaner on the second ring, but I wanted to let you guys know that you really need to put it on the top ring because of the thickness of the mesh. Unless you make a really, really long hook on that second ring, it won't go close enough to the wall. So here's how it looks. I told you it looks better when it's done. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. This is such a fun project. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family. Anybody you know might be interested in learning how to make one of these. Simple and easy. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.